All right, let's squeeze some conspiracy juice. No, still not catching on?
Comparing white and gay.
I expected them to be very different, but they weren't at all. Yeah.
The curse would be laid upon them.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to Voices from the Mausoleum, and welcome to episode 2 Friends and a Conspiracy Theory with my co-host, Radar.
Whoa, wow, you nailed that.
I was saying it over and over. I was like, I got it the first time. I got to get it this time, too, or I'll, never hear the end of the shit.
I'll bring it
What
up.
happened, Angel?
What went wrong?
Yeah, exactly. I know. Yeah, I still hear about other things all the time from you, so I know.
Uh-oh.
I know
That's
it would
fair.
come back. Yeah, so if you're not familiar with the series, it is a series. There's a whole playlist of insane conversations where Radar and I both have a list separately of conspiracy theories, and then we spend the episode teaching the other person about it. And so we know each other's original list, but we don't know which ones we'll know the last ones when we get there, but we don't know what we're going to be talking about with the other person when they come on. So, and then last we met, we talked about the moon landing.
The big one.
And whether or not it happened. And then, so that brings us to this week, which is your turn to take over and teach me about a conspiracy theory.
Indeed. And I feel like this one, most of mine are historical based. And I guess you can make a claim that this one is historical based too, but it'll be more focused on just talking about the conspiracy theory aspect of it and listing off a couple figures in it that are very fascinating because we're covering the Freemasons, baby.
Oh, I'm so excited about this one. I'm so excited about this one. Man, this is like a power duo. Like the last one and this one, those are good ones.
Yeah, those are the big ones.
Oh.
And it's interesting because you don't, I feel like most people think, because these kind of conspiracies for Freemasons and then the Illuminati revolve around they're secretly controlling the world.
Yes.
Through this organization. And most people think about the Illuminati, but it was just as a small tangent in my research that I didn't know that the Illuminati was kind of born out of another sect of Freemasons. Like a guy got a couple of Freemasons to defect. Because he was like,
I didn't know that.
Yeah, but he was like, but it's so interesting because that one was also based on let's use science and all of this stuff to solve problems. And someone went, I think they're trying to overthrow the government. So then they went and just broke it up.
Oh my God.
And there's no evidence to show that the Illuminati made it out of the 1780s. It's a long time ago.
I know there are people on the internet who would disagree with that. They would be like, oh no, it's everywhere.
Please don't at me.
That's right.
George Washington wants to have a word.
Oh no. Yeah, that's cool. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So I guess let me start by giving kind of an introduction on the Freemasons and what they are, because they are a secret organization. So, and it's not entirely known when the Freemasons necessarily started, what year. There wasn't a year founding, but they started in the medieval times, back when they had guilds and stuff, and it was guilds of stonemasons. They kind of got together after they were done masoning things. I'm not 100% sure what stonemasons did
when they were done
masoning things.
Oh no, I know it's not what they did, right? But when I think of mason, also I think of mason jars, right? And so I'm just imagining these men of power pickling stuff and putting stuff in jar. Anyway, I'm sorry. My brain goes into weird directions.
If you control the pickles, you control the world. but so the Freemasons started as kind of like this guild of stonemasons. So they were pretty closed off.
Yeah.
And I guess it was while they were building a lot of like cathedrals and churches and stuff during that Renaissance period, back when a lot of that was happening.
Yeah.
It was a bit of decline after the Renaissance and stuff. So naturally, there weren't as many stonemasons. And the Freemasons started losing membership left and right. So they just kind of went, we'll add speculative members and basically people of good standing in the community who are kind of like, bigger on the totem pole. So they're kind of like,
Right.
They stopped being pretty picky. They're like, come
Yeah.
on.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, so then this, of course, started in like mostly in England, but there were other parts in Europe, and then it migrated over to North America, and into the colonies, and kind of still stuck around. And according to the Masonic Service Association, so maybe a little biased in their numbers, they said that there are almost 900,000 Freemasons in the U.S. as of 2020. And this is wild. I can't believe this happened. But today I went to the gym and there was a man with the Freemason sticker on his license plate.
Stop it. What?
And I was like, it's a sign. They're everywhere.
So I actually work with a Freemason.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He doesn't talk about it because I don't really think you're like allowed to.
I don't think so. I don't know.
But they do like, but he has like the whole lodge thing, that like gathering thing that they do where it's like specific to only members that are invited. They have like a thing that they do where they like, what's the word? It's like, where they like bring people in and teach them how to be, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know why I'm thinking of rear. Probably not rear.
No, but it's of course it's all men.
Right. It's a fraternity. So
it's a fraternity, and they
except
also
in France,
are.
They do allow women, and they have for several centuries.
Do
So,
they? But aren't they also like not super big fans of gays? And
they didn't spell that out anywhere in my research, but I can understand why it
would be that way. Well, I know that the guy that I work with is a huge transphobe. He told me, I'm not making this up. I'm done after this, so you can finish teaching me. He told me that the Teletubbies, the cartoon, or not the cartoon, the show, the kids show or whatever, Teletubbies.
Yeah.
Yeah. That show was so weird. And I was like, yeah, 100% it was weird. I loved it. Like, I thought it was such a weird show. And he was like, that's why we have all these people who don't know what gender they are and who think that there are all these different weird things and they don't. And I'm like, did he just blame trans people on Teletubbies? Like, what the? Anyway, I just had to tell you that story because I do work with someone who is a Mason.
Right. Oh, so, interesting. Well,
anyway, continue.
So there are several different like levels of Masons. They like have 3 different kind of positions, and then they have other levels and degrees.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
On each of the sects and chapters. So it's
it's
like, well, there's kind of a lot to it. And again, when I was reading it, I'm like, kind of sounds like the adult version of the Boy Scouts, kind of in some parts.
Yes.
But
I think fraternity was really good too. I think that's a perfectly reasonable
fraternity. But so the main 3 though are entered apprentice, fellow craft, and master mason, which do with those titles what you will.
Right.
So they also adopt a few like little emblems for their stuff. Like one is a square in a compass, and that normally represents, morality. I guess in hating Teletubbies, maybe. There's the beehive, which is said to represent cooperation, which I guess makes sense. And then the Eye of Providence, or the All-Seeing Eye.
That's
Which-
the one. That's the only one I know. Yeah.
Yeah, which is on the dollar bill, but I in that top corner.
Which is why
but-
everybody usually knows that one, right? Because it's-
Yeah, because it's literally on U.S. money. But it's supposed to represent God's eternal watchfulness. You know, and because it's slight religious tinge to it. Because again, it was founded in the medieval times, so that that was kind of their deal.
Yeah. True.
True that. But so the Freemasons, pretty well known in the developed world.
Yeah.
And there is quite a few wild Freemason conspiracy theories around them.
Oh, I can't wait.
There are some excuse me. So they're divided into three main categories. There's political, religious, and they kind of put it like into other as sort of like social / pop culture sort of stuff.
Sure.
But that most people probably gravitate towards the political one because that is kind of, they have, their hands in different
Yeah.
jars on the political scale. So a lot of people
Yeah.
think that, the British judiciary is heavily influenced by the Freemasons. And they're just kind of looking out for their own people,
Yeah.
and kind of subvert the legal system there. So that's
Yeah.
one of their theories. And then I kind of want to pivot to the religious aspect because the Catholic Church will not allow you to be a Freemason. They're like, you can't be a Freemason. And some of that is like, there's that hint of a religious aspect kind of to the
Yeah.
to being a Freemason, and they like have secret rituals that they perform. And of course, not many people know what they are because they're secret. I guess I'll give them credit for that. They've kept it fairly secret. So kudos, Freemasons. But there's kind of like that. What are you doing behind closed doors? And so a lot of people have speculated that the Freemasons are Satan worshipers.
I was going to say, I've always got the impression when I've seen things come up about them that there's a very cult kind of energy to like their
right.
secrets, right? So
Yeah. And so there's they've got like a few like, different things that people say they worship. Some say they worship Baal, Baphomet, those collection of gods.
the popular ones,
The very popular other ones.
the big cheeses of the
the big cheeses right there. Everyone loves Baal. Everyone knows Baphomet. Okay?
Oh yeah.
He
Yes.
makes the round every couple of years.
Yep. For sure.
And then they say that they maybe even worship their own particular god.
Huh.
And they give it an abbreviation. They call it the Great Architect of the Universe, or the Gatou. It's Gaoutu, but I'm just gonna say it's the Gateau.
I like it.
Yeah,
I
but
like
great-
the concept of the architect, though. It makes me think of Prometheus.
Oh, there you go. So maybe they're really big into Ridley Scott films,
And that's where this is going. Yeah.
that's where it's going. Actually,
They
Let me
just
tell you about
actually they probably just revamped it when that movie came out. They're like, this sounds better. Let's just do this. Yeah, but I like at least the name of that would sound cool. The Grand Architect.
Yeah, that sounds actually cool.
It's edgy. I like it.
Yeah, they're like, ooh, that's got a nice ring to it.
It does. I like
it.
it.
And so then pivoting back to the political
Yeah.
conspiracy theories, there's another. There's a few doozies. One of them I think is hilarious. Is that the Freemasons are behind income taxes?
Like it's just their fault.
Yeah, it's their fault that we have income taxes.
We must find them.
Yeah, like the Freemasons went, hold up. Can we make people's lives worse? How about the income tax?
Oh no.
I think it's
You
just
know what? It makes sense to want to have a secret cult society to blame that on, though. I get it.
I get it, makes sense. I understand. Sure, very clearly documented why income tax is put into place.
Oh
But
my God.
go
Okay.
off. And then there's another one that Freemason is tied to or directly the sole cause
Okay.
of communism.
Communism?
Communism.
Oh, I definitely hadn't heard that one. That's interesting.
Um, so the Spanish dictator Francisco Franco has often associated his opposition with both Freemasonry and communism, and saw the latter as a conspiracy of the former. As he put it, the whole secret of the campaigns unleashed against Spain can be explained in 2 words: Masonry and communism.
He sounds like a sore loser, or like he was like, "Oh, I'm not gonna." That's crazy.
It is very wild. That's so funny. But there's another huge one
Yeah.
that you may have heard of, and it's called the New World Order.
Yes. Wait. To be fair, the name, yes, and I'm assuming we're
Yeah.
not talking about wrestling, right?
No.
But
It's
yeah,
not.
so I know that, but I don't think I necessarily know what that means. So
Yeah, so the New World Order it's kind of a term for several different conspiracy theories, but they
Okay.
all kind of talk about the same thing, that there's some secret group that is slowly, putting their objectives in motion and creating like a whole, like they will eventually take over everything and turn it into one totalitarian government, the whole
That's-
world.
that's kind of like the plot of The Omen.
Oh my goodness.
You've got all these people setting all these things up, right? To have someone in
Yeah.
a position of power to be able to do all of their bidding and to create all of this change and all, right? It's similar.
Yeah. So very similar.
Whoever came up with these theories is clearly a horror fan. Anyway.
Yeah, they clearly just watched the 70s horror films and were
And
like,
they just were like, I love these ideas so much. They've got to be tied together somehow. So
these gotta exist. They can't just be good ideas. Someone's gotta be
they
doing it.
have to come from reality.
I swear.
Right.
But it's, it was very interesting with this New World theory, because it's kind of New World Order, because it used to be with kind of really more far out there people, very much on the fringes.
Okay.
But as the Cold War kind of went on, and then kind of a little bit afterwards, it started to come more in line. It's not by any means mainstream, but it is
Right.
starting to gain more believers in that. And I was like, oh, interesting. But yeah, so the main 2 groups that they're like, these are who's behind the New World Order, are like Freemasons and the Illuminati. And there's a 3rd group. I won't mention them here, but because it's a religious people. I don't want to bring them up. Yeah. So,
Sure.
yeah, Freemasons and Illuminati are the main ones that they're definitely doing it. The New World Order is these 2 groups. And most tend to lead toward Freemason, because they still have like members. You can actively see them. They're still doing
Sure.
secret things behind doors.
Yeah.
And these are some very weird conspiracy theories, but I wanted to talk about some celebrity Freemasons from throughout history.
Oh my God. I'm probably not ready. Okay.
There's a lot.
I'm not surprised. There's like that whole thing that like Beyonce and Jay-Z are part of the Illuminati, right? Anyway.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
But so like, and I'm not going to name them all, but here's just a couple. Of course, my boy George Washington, Benjamin Franklin, Aaron Burr, take him, leave him. A couple other members of the founding fathers.
Ben Franklin, I knew about. I knew that was one of the
national treasure. So
is that why I knew that? That might be why I knew
they do talk. They also, which this is the second of mine in a row where I'm going to bring up one of the national treasures. They do talk about the Freemasons. and
Man, those movies are trying to tell us stuff.
They're trying to tell us things. Nick Cage, he knows what's up.
He does.
But and this is such a wide. I'm so surprised at
Mhm.
like the variety and diversity of the Freemasons because you had those founding fathers, you had Theodore and Franklin Roosevelt
Oh wow. Okay.
and Gerald Ford, which but you have explorers like Davy Crockett, Lewis and Clark, and one Mr. Buzz Aldrin.
Stop it.
Yes.
So it was faked. It's all part of the New World Order.
The Freemasons were behind everything.
What?
What?
First of all, I'm going to be honest with you. I always forget that Davy Crockett's a real person.
I hate that.
Buzz?
Buzz was in there. Telling you.
Oh,
Um,
I don't know. Now I got to look at my notes again because I feel like. Go ahead.
He was behind it all. You got Bach, Mozart, Oscar Wilde, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Mark Twain. This is wild. You have Jack Dempsey, Scottie Pippen, Sugar Ray Robinson are also in there, and then you have, and this is a wild. You have these are some heavy names in the
Yeah.
civil rights era. You have Booker T. Washington, W.E.B. Du Bois, and Thurgood Marshall.
Wow.
Yeah, so
And
they
these are all people that they know were
Yeah.
Freemasons. Okay.
Yeah, we're like Freemasons. And then you have just a couple others: Harry Truman, J. Edgar Hoover, Henry Ford, Arnold Palmer, and then Simone Bolivar. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. Big sort of political leader in South America. But so those are just like a few. Those are like a few of like the big Freemasons. They
That's
have a lot.
nuts.
And Winston Churchill. I don't think I mentioned him. Winston Churchill's also in there.
Oh, well.
Kind of with that. But yeah, so
Yeah.
like I could, when you have this wide variety of like very famous people,
Yeah.
all from different, like these are different walks of life, American presidents, athletes, musicians, writers. Like there's a lot of people of influence in here. So I can kind of understand how, people
Yeah.
are like, you're all getting together behind closed doors and you're not letting me in. You're either worshiping Satan or you're trying to take over the world.
That makes sense. I can see that. I always think that's what people are doing when they have secrets.
There you go. But yeah, so that's gonna, there's one more conspiracy theory I wanted to bring up, and I didn't save it, unfortunately, so I don't remember the guy's name.
Okay.
But the reason I remember it, because I was doing research, and it was on the History Channel website, and it was talking about how in the 1810s, there was a town drunkard who got kicked out of the Freemasons, and he was like threatening to spill the Freemasons' secrets. So he was jailed for not for debt, because they still did that back then. And then a bunch of Freemasons came, bailed him out, threw him in a carriage in the middle of the night, and he was never seen from again. There's nothing to back any of that. And I was just waiting for the History Channel to say that in their article. And then they just went to list on why Freemasons' popularity fell after that. And they did not try to debunk that theory, that conspiracy theory that they have pasted on their website.
That's because it probably happened.
We got him. But it's to me, it's why it's so funny that they were like, that's probably why their numbers declined. Or, people just stopped caring.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
things like that throughout history ebb and flow, right? Like they got like
Yeah.
they come and go with popularity. Like you'll see things that are like huge for it's all like a rotation of things from stuff like that to other types of trends or even clothing and stuff. Like I know it's a far
Right.
stretch from the Freemasons, but like it does make sense. Like not everything is going to be as it was over time. Things are going
Yeah.
to dwindle, especially if like because I guess would that have been after? I can't remember when you said like that
So
they
like
that they
mid
started
1800s.
letting other people in more because the numbers had gone.
Yeah, yeah, it was well after that point because it was towards the middle of the 1700s that they were like, we're running out of stonemasons.
Okay, yeah, that's right. Stonemasons. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
interesting though. I mean,
yeah.
it's got all the story elements for a good
Right,
story about, you know,
right.
but
Like,
it's the same with like what's the other one? The Hellfire Club
right, yeah, like kind of in that same vein that
vein.
like, yeah, they're kind of covering things up and they're like worshiping
Yeah.
Satan or something behind the scenes. But I think it's interesting to see that they still have now. Granted, that's less than 1 million members, but
But still,
in the 21st century,
that
like,
is kind of crazy though. You would think that
yeah.
something like that would have phased out by now.
Yeah, because to me, granted, I'm an outsider, and yeah, I didn't go
Well,
digging to find out what secret rituals they're doing. But to me, secret rituals from like the 15th century are probably super lame. Like it's just lame, dude.
that's a good point though.
like like stonemasons from the 15th century. What secret ceremonies you think they're doing? They're probably getting plastered behind closed doors because they have to do backbreaking labor during the day.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And they may have sometimes kissed each other. I can see
yeah,
that
I was gonna say, get
you
some.
know, but to your point, it's things that now nobody cares about. That's probably
Yeah,
very true. I want to see you meet a Freemason one day and be like, I bet your parties were lame.
you guys are lame.
That's great. But it's a valid point though. I mean, I
Yeah,
definitely see what you're saying.
and plus they can't defend themselves because then they'll reveal their secrets. So it's a win-win.
That's true.
You either
Untouchable. Yeah.
untouched. You either get to call them lame and get away with it, or they reveal their secrets. We got them.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
But so that is the rundown on the Freemasons and several of the theories around them. There's a buttload.
Oh,
So
I'm sure there is.
there's a buttload, and they're pretty wild. Honestly, pretty wild. Like I don't know how they stack up because you did the moon landing. I don't know how they stack up to like the sub ones, but stuff like
Oh, I'm sure it's got to be in a
yeah,
similar vein, a similar way though, just because it sounds too like it's kind of like other ones that we've talked about where like some of them are like really in-depth theories and then some of them are just like super vague things that people just talked about. Like it was,
right.
so I can see that. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's a very deep rabbit hole because there's like documentaries on them and stuff too.
Oh yeah, well, and like that they're behind the income tax. Like, okay,
That's such a random one.
it's so random and out of left field. It seems like if the conspiracy theorists were having a town hall to talk about the Freemasons and someone was just disgruntled because the IRS bent him over a barrel and he was like, and you know what? They did income tax too.
That was definitely them.
They did that also. Put that down. Put it down in the notes for the meeting.
I'm here for that crazy person. Whoever said that. That's funny. Yeah, I didn't know a lot of that stuff. The only things I had heard about was I knew about George Washington being connected, Benjamin Franklin. That was really it on the people. And then I knew, I kind of always heard about like, oh yeah, like there's the religious element because they're like essentially like a cult where they
Right.
have like the things that they believe in or the things that their rituals, like you mentioned, and then but they're doing them all away in private because of whatever reason. And
Right.
yeah, so that's really the only thing I ever knew about them.
Which is probably to get drunk and kiss each other. But
Yeah. We may be oversimplifying, but that does be the most logical path.
But we don't know, so that's what we're going to put in as what they do. So
Yeah. No, it's true. Yeah.
Freemasons,
Well-
let us know in the comment if we're wrong.
If anybody sees this video and Radar or myself go missing, please,
Uh-oh.
please document it.
The Freemasons did respond.
They came and got us. Oh no. Oh,
well, there you go. That's the Freemason. That's them.
oh my god. Oh, I love it. Well, cool. Well, I guess that's
That'll wrap up this episode. I guess you're doing the next one, right? So,
I got two big ones to pick between.
ooh. Nice. You'll be delivering some delicious spreads of conspiracy theories for me. Something food related. I'm trying to get it in there. Is that I know conspiracy juice isn't working, but what about a conspiracy spread? You know? Like a conspiracy jam.
On the bread of truth.
There you go. Bada bing. It's perfect.
I cannot.
No? Dang it.
Um,
I'll workshop it.
yeah, next time I've got two big ones. I think I know which one I'm going to say for last, but we'll see how I feel when I start doing my research and kind of where I end up. But yeah, cool. Well, as always, Radar's links where you can find him and his books are in the description for this episode. Highly recommend checking out his horror content as well as his books. Yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode of Two Friends and a Conspiracy Theory. We hope you have a good rest of your week. Don't join any Mason clubs. Have a great weekend, and we will see you in the next one.